Hi YouTube, this is VidHead85, and I'm going to tell my coming out story. It's been quite a while since I really told anybody anything about like this the coming out story really, because it's a lot. I remember being 7 years old and I was in second grade playing Duck Duck Goose, and I was the guy who had to go around and find somebody to goose and then run back to their seat. And I caught the person, and I was like, whoa, I'm so glad I caught him. And I realized now that I really liked the kid. So that was something of an experience that I remember and I know now, but back then I just thought I was excited that I caught him. Then I remember when I was about 9 or 10, I lived in a funeral home. It was converted from a funeral home and whatever. The downstairs we didn't see much of because that must have been where they had the preparations and stuff like that. But we lived upstairs, and there was an adjoining house which must have been built together, and there was a downstairs and an upstairs. And upstairs my grandma lived. Downstairs there was a kid named Eddie and his mother and father and brother. His mother's name was Serena, his father's name was DeParis, his brother's name was DeParis Jr. And I just remember things like that. Well, I do remember one time when I went over, I stayed over his house and whatever, and we had a little sleepover, and we played video games just about all night until like his mother said, okay, it's time to go to bed guys. But or actually I think she let us stay up though, and we were just sitting up watching TV and like everything, you know, that the kids do when they sleep over a friend's house. And I remember just wanting to just be with him in a way that was more like just, you know, that seemed a bit more than friends. We even like spit into our hand and like became like spit brothers or whatever, you know, stuff like that during the day. And I think he had like a cousin or maybe a bigger sister or something like that. I think it may have been his cousin, because she didn't live with him. But we saw her a lot and everything. And since it was a funeral home prior, we had a big backyard, and Eddie and his little brother and my brothers and sisters, we'd all be playing in the back and whatever. So what ended up, so one day, I remember my mom says that Eddie stopped by when I was going to the store or whatever, and I wondered if he was at home or not, but I think they left a little bit before I got home and whatever, and they said that Mom was like, well, you know, because Eddie came over, and I'm like, oh really? What was going on? And you know, she basically said that he liked me, and my face gives me away a lot, and I guess I must have made a face that alarmed my mom. And I remember he moved away, and I wonder how he's doing today though. I hope he's okay. He was a good fellow. Then I remember at 4th grade year also there was this guy, James, and myself. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up in school because I was just kind of introverted and just to myself. He was my main, like my only friend, my only like consistent friend. And I remember people were like were just cracking on us, and he was like, well, we're boyfriends. And I'm just looked at him like, what the hell are you talking about? But now it's kind of funny, but back then it was just like, okay, I don't know you, dude. But so that was something. Now 8th grade it kind of hit me a little more because I'm becoming more aware of what I like. And I remember seeing this one gentleman, he had a Speedo on, And I looked like an overstuffed sausage in the Speedos and everything. People could see my goods, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, are you thinking about Kasia?" Which was a girl that I did like in 8th grade, but I don't know, like they were just small Speedos, and I'm this big guy. No pun intended. Oh God, no pun intended. Oh, I got myself in trouble. So 8th grade, I'm noticing these guys' bodies as I'm in the locker room, and I try to get it out of my mind, but of course I can't because I'm surrounded by them. And 8th grade comes and goes, and high school comes and goes as well. And I'm fighting with my same-sex attraction. I'm fighting with what I believe the Bible says about it, and what I believe I feel. I'm fighting so much. I'm at the point where I'm sick and tired of fighting. I get to the point where I just kind of push it to the back of my mind, to where it doesn't exist anymore because I pushed it out of my mind. I'm so disciplined that it's not going to be there when I wake up in the morning. But the whole thing was, I never dated either. I never really, well, actually I did date in high school. There was this one girl, Adrian, and I really liked her. Then after that, I never dated anybody. Well, actually I dated another girl, but it was kind of like not really dating-esque. But those were the only 2 dealings I had with the opposite sex in high school. Everything else was just, I was just single. I didn't care. I actually met this guy during my sophomore year who I really liked and whatnot. And I think that like we knew that each other was gay. And it was really weird too, because like I remember like there was just a lot of sexual tension between us, and we played with it. But after what is it? I think it was maybe junior or senior year. Like we hardly saw each other junior year, and then I think my senior year he graduated, or between my junior and senior year he must have graduated or something. Then, but junior and senior year saw me kind of becoming more extroverted, out of my shell, being a bit more open with things. But not being open about having gay feelings. One guy, Jonathan, was effeminate, openly gay and everything, and I simply kept like, I hated it. I hated that someone else was openly gay, and I would crack on him. And I remember one time this one girl, Susan, I'll never forget, she just unloaded on me, and I needed that at the time. Now I understand, but I didn't understand it at the time, because she had a gay brother, and she really was like really outspoken about defending her gay friends, which was great. But actually I should Facebook her and like ask her how she's doing too. Susan DeCenzo, I think her last name was. I rarely forget names, but I hope she's doing well. So freshman year of college rolls around. I get accepted into Niagara University, and my neighbor's gay, openly gay. Like he walked around and you could see just rainbows just popping out all over the place, jumping at you and saying, "Hello, how are you? I hope you're having a wonderful day today." That was the kind of that was how he was. And I remember welcoming him to the welcoming him to the floor, and then I think he probably kind of caught my interest, that I was interested, and then we began fooling around. But the other part about it was under the cover of night. It was very kind of clandestine. Another point with that was that I was always like, I never let it slip that we were like fooling around, but he told somebody who told other people, and I was hanging around a predominantly Christian crowd, and they did not like that one bit. So they wanted me to stay away from him. They wanted me to basically just deny the whole thing, like that I was even gay in the first place. And then I tried, and I would pray, and I would pray, and I would pray, and I would just listen to Christian radio and just all these other things, and I would really just try to just pray it away. And it came to the point where I would just be like, you know what, I'm tired of praying. I'm tired of thinking about it. I'm so tired. Like, all I want to do is just die. Like, because my soul was just drained from me from fighting so hard. My whole, like, being had been involved with simply fighting against a core part of my being. And it was like one of us had to give. It was like I either, basically I feel like I had to accept it or I would die. And I wouldn't have killed myself, I just would have died on the inside. I would have been like Ossie Davis when he said I could just drink. And I could drink and drink and drink because that's the one thing that I could control in my life. And for me, I would eat. That was my vice. So for a while, I remember I was so closeted to where like I wouldn't even like say anything. Like I would just be sitting there in my own little world, like trying to do everything I possibly could not to like men. Then I remember I discovered Queer as Folk. I remember I actually found out that I was watching the pilot that day. And it really amazed me that there were other people like me. Like, I didn't know that there was someone else who liked men as well. I had no idea. It was just something that never occurred to me. So when I found Queer as Folk, I felt less alone. And I would remember so many times trying to tell my mom, and I couldn't. And when I finally told her when I was 19, I got interrogated later. And they asked me if it was like the Tweety bird, because I remember I was nursing a Tweety bird, you know, like I was its mother. And they asked me if that made me gay. No, it didn't. My dad threw the mask and the Tweety bird out. It sucked, because that was, you know, my favorite Tweety bird. I was only 4. You know, I was only 4. Come on. They asked me if I was seduced. I was not. When I was 8, a babysitter, and I did stuff, but I already knew a year before I was 7. I already knew when I was 7, so by the time I was 8 and I had that experience, it kind of cemented everything for me because I knew what I liked. But coming out has been allowing people to know who I really am. My family at first couldn't accept it, but they do now. They treat Daryl like he's one of the family. He's my boyfriend, and it's been 4 years, and it's been a rocky 4 years, but it's been worthwhile. I have a decent life. I really enjoy it. I hate the shift I work, but I have a job, so I'm grateful for that. But so many people in my life, Kitty Lambert Rudd, who was her and her partner Cheryl were the first married gay couple in the state of New York to marry, from Western New York. They actually are originally from Arizona, but Grandma Kitty got pissed that a prisoner could marry and she couldn't. So Grandma Cheryl rolled over in bed and said, then fucking do something about it. But do something about it quick, or quietly, because I have to go to bed or go to work in 3 hours. So that's another part of the coming out story that I'll post shortly. But that's the general part of it. So I'll post another video, a companion video to it shortly. Thank you.